Welcome, everybody, to today's Lunch and Learned Live. It's a special Saturday edition. So what does that mean? It means that I get to have a beer because I'm not at work. So I'm very excited about that. I am not at the Cactus, although it kind of looks like it. Very excited to be talking to this gentleman today right here. He's going to be joining us here in a minute, but I did want to do a quick PSA for tonight. This isn't the only live show we're doing today. We have another live show tonight. This is the He Said, She Said game show tonight, which is going to be very fun. It's our second episode, 3 couples battling it out, newlywed game style. So that's at 7:30 Central Time tonight. So without further ado, we are going to add the man, the myth, the legend, Bruce Barker. I've done this 7 or 8 times now. I've interviewed a couple of NFL people and some CEOs, and I might be most nervous for this one. So it's you really are right. You're in your basement, and you almost have Billy Idol over your shoulder there. So yeah,
I'd be the worst weather guy, wouldn't I? And the bird. There's a bird.
When you're looking at the screen, it's messed up. Like I was trying to point at you and I couldn't figure out which hand to use. I know you were dealing with that with your show on Thursday night. It's backwards. So
yeah, I did figure out how to flip it around and get it so you can actually read Purdue instead of a derp.
Undurp, yeah.
Or derp.
Well, I'm happy to have you. And as I told you, the show is really sort of a behind the scenes look at somebody's career and their life and sort of the path that they took and the lessons they learned along the way. And I know that some people know that about you, but if you're thinking about what we assume to be millions of Purdue students, or at least over 1 million.
Yeah. If my numbers are right, it's over 1 million people that have gone through those. Not just the Cactus. The Cactus is 10 times that, but just the piano bar.
Right. Yep. And the people that have come through there, they know you as, the piano man, but really to know you as the guy behind the piano and those types of things is really what I want to get at. And we're both townies, as we like to say.
Right.
You went to a different high school than I did. You're from Romney. I'm from Lafayette. You went to McCutcheon. I went to Lafayette Jeff. But I guess as you were growing up, did you grow up in Romney the whole time? Like that's where you went to elementary school and everything?
So from birth to 4 years old, I was in town. And then right before I turned 5 and to go to kindergarten, moved to Romney, lived there till my freshman year at Purdue, second semester of my freshman year at Purdue. A lot of things happened that second semester.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you were growing up and getting into those teenage years, was music a part of your life from a playing perspective? I mean, I know we all kind of listen to the hair bands from the 80s and those types of things, but was music a part of your life and how did that affect you?
So this is not an exaggeration at all. Besides being a really nice guy, the only thing in the world I feel like I really do well was sing and perform. And so literally at age 4, we didn't have video cameras back then. There were video cameras, but we didn't have them. But we had a taper. Yeah, like chisel. There's a tape floating around somewhere of my mom and dad when I was 4 years old singing Elvis. And I put on a show, man, and I'm sure it wasn't good, but my mom had scarves, and I would just take scarves and toss them to the audience because that's what Elvis did.
That's amazing.
But I could always sing. That's one gift God gave me that I cherish, and then I learned how to be a performer as you go on, as you get older. Yeah.
Were you playing instruments at that point? Were you getting lessons and those types of things?
So my mom and dad recognized that I could sing. And so in first grade, they gave me my first guitar. And you're not going to believe it, and we didn't plan this, but it is 4 feet away from me, socially distanced. So let me show you this. This is my first grade guitar. And I took it to show and tell to Miss Shelby's class. And we all sit around in a circle, and I was like, check me out. And then at show and tell, you talk a little bit about it, and then you hand it to every kid, and it goes around the circle. Now, I'm sorry, I should have backed up. I played it left-handed, like left-handed guys, like Jimi Hendrix.
Yep.
And then when I handed it around, Kevin, every single kid, 20 other kids, played it right-handed and went like this. And I'm like, oh, man, I'm doing it wrong. So I turned it around, and then I couldn't make my fingers make noise. They would make noise, but it was like this. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so I just said, I'll just sing. I'm gonna be famous just singing.
Yep.
And so I put it away. No, I didn't have another guitar until 1986 when I graduated high school. I bought a guitar, and I still couldn't play it, but I had a nice red guitar and it looked awesome, But my point is that I did not touch a piano until I got to Purdue and sat down second semester my freshman year, first time at Terry Courts, which is now the police station.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat down with headphones and a Sony Walkman cassette player that only played forward, couldn't rewind. And I sat there for 7 hours and I taught myself one song, and it took 7 hours. I missed lunch. I missed dinner. I went through 4 sets of batteries. But by the end of 7 hours, people would walk by and they were like, hey, I recognize that song. And so even though I'm sure it wasn't perfect, it wasn't even probably good, but people recognized it. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, that's All Cried Out by Lisa and the Cult Jam, which was the first song I taught myself. Yeah, Google that, kids.
Yeah, I don't even know what you're talking about, so I'm gonna have to look that up later.
On a Sunday morning. Oh, it's a great song. It's a duet. It's a long story, but anyway, my point is people would walk by and they recognized it, and girls would recognize it.
Yes. Yes. That's the important part when you're a recreation major.
Gosh. Yes. And with this face, which does not need to be in high definition. P.S.
Yeah. 720p. We're all right.
Oh, good.
Yeah. We can't do 1080 on this show. Yeah.
Thank the Lord.
So when you were at McCutcheon and I was in choir all the way through at Jeff, and they have obviously this huge choral department. Were you doing choir there? Were you doing solos and singing and a part of that there?
I was. There's a friend of mine, Kev, who I will give complete credit. She was a junior and gorgeous. Her name is Susan Slayton. And I was a sophomore. She's a junior. And she asked to do a duet with me. Now I could sing my butt off. But I looked like this. So I was like, oh my gosh, this beautiful girl wants me to sing a romantic duet with her. And she really kickstarted the belief that I could go and perform in front of other people. Who can't perform in their room or the basement
or shower,
but the shower, in the car, who can't do that? But to actually see somebody else believe in you first was huge. And she, honest to gosh, jump-started my confidence that my voice was worthy of being heard. And then I'm not overconfident, but I knew I had a gift. It's not a special gift. It's not Celine Dion, but it was a decent enough voice where people are like, hey, that's pretty good, man. That touches me. And she started that. That was high school. So then I did musical. I did a musical my senior year, and but I was always in choir, and I was a featured soloist in choir. But there were also 4 guys from Romney. There's the Maynards and Bob Corbin and Bob Gray. And so when there's only 5 of you and 16 girls,
right? Yeah, it's like
going to IU and trying to find a date. Anybody can find a date at IU. It's 17-to-1 chicks to dude ratio.
That's right.
Yeah.
Were you what musical did you do senior year? I gotta ask that.
Oklahoma.
There you
go. Comes sweeping down the plain.
My daughter would love that.
Still has my copy.
Really?
I want my copy, Bob Corbin. I was at his house last night.
And you should have grabbed it.
I know. Well, he's got cats. I'm allergic to cats.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to do that then.
We just played out in the barn.
When you went to Purdue, I know you were in Glee Club. Were you in Glee Club all 4 years you were there?
All 7 years there.
7? Okay.
7.
And
I like college. College is fun.
It's like Billy Madison, stay in school, stay as long as you can. For the love of God, cherish it. So I was in PMO when I was there, and much like my friends had tried out for Glee Club, I ended up being in university choir. So I know what the time commitment is like there. You had to go through the whole tryout scenario, and then you were in Glee Club that whole time, which seems perfect fit for who you are as a person. Like, you had to have loved that.
It was regimented, which a 19-year-old needed. I waited a year after high school. It was regimented, but it taught you how to create a show. It taught you what was the most important thing about a show. And music and actual performance is tremendously important. But it taught me that the real important thing is the connection before the show and after the show.
Mm-hmm.
And reading the audience during the show. If your audience is not responding to ballads and country, then switch it up. Tremendous. Like, I credit PMO and Glee Club for my true college education. English and math is important, but PMO was the real education. And it also, Kevin, was I had a chance at a piano 24/7. You could get a key, go into your own private room, and at 3 a.m. till 8 a.m, you could play piano. And I did. We would come home from Chicago road shows and be back at the Hall of Music at 2 a.m. And I would check out a key and I would play till 5 because I was a night owl, but it was my passion. It was one thing that I saw that I was getting better at, and saw possibilities,
Yep.
And the girls like it. Gosh, chicks.
I know.
We're so weak.
Yeah, we really are. And see, now you're getting me off track here.
I know. Sorry, homie.
That's all right. So when you were in
these things,
what's that?
That's why you don't practice. You don't give me questions. We just.
I don't. That's why the show is live, and that's just the way that it is. And whatever happens, happens. And part of the funny part of doing this show is that I have to go back and listen to it because sometimes I miss things because I'm thinking about my next question. So,
sure.
But now you said chicks and girls, and so let's we'll pause and move on. So PMO, Christmas shows, all of that fun stuff.
Yes, sir.
Were you, I know what I was going to say, at Purdue, the theater voice majors, that's more of an IU thing, as you see people that really want to do that for a living. Were you starting to think, like, how can I turn this into a career while you were at Purdue?
Yeah, kind of, because now this was the beginning of the 90s, the end of the 80s, and so heavy metal, and this was before grunge, so heavy metal and power ballads, and I could sing kind of stuff. A lot of the Euro stuff that was coming, A Flock of Seagulls, You Spin Me Wrong, and that kind of stuff. I could do that, man. And so I thought, I'm gonna go to California and I'm gonna get famous because I've got a voice. And then I met a girl and I stuck around here. But that's okay because it turned into more learning of the piano, and I went back to Purdue, and because I just realized, like, you know what, you get so much farther if you have an education, and your chances are better than just being a dropout. And I didn't want, and truthfully, my mom went to, my parents are divorced, but my mom went to a lot just to get me through school. And so you feel, indebted to taking care of the business all the way through.
Yep. And we're going to get back to my mom here in a little bit. So I'm with you there. And when you were at McCutcheon and Purdue, were there things outside of music that you were doing? I mean, playing basketball, sports, those types of things. I know. Sure.
Played baseball. I was on the tennis team till my senior year. And I got as high as the first reserve if one of our guys rolled an ankle or threw his arm out on a serve.
Yeah. So you were first.
It was number one.
There you go.
If someone had a cardiac arrest, I would be included in the number 3 doubles.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't even think there's a number 3. See, I wasn't even high as number 3 doubles. But I do have a funny story about that particular tennis thing, if you want to hear it.
I do.
I got in a fight with the entire tennis team from Petersburg.
Petersburg.
Yeah. Do you ever picture rumbles going down at high school tennis tournaments?
White shorts and the white t-shirts and the preppy boys.
This is 86, man. So they were hugging.
Yeah.
There's a lot of upper thigh exposed.
And maybe I confused it. Did you say that you started a fight with the Petersburg tennis team?
I reacted.
Okay.
Yeah, I reacted.
So they started it, you finished it.
Yeah. You guys asked if you want to interview Dan Webb. Yeah, ask Danny. I had his back, man. Got your back, Danny. What
if we did a celebrity boxing tournament between you and somebody from the Petersburg tennis team?
Sure, man. If they are if they are incapacitated, there comes a time in your life when you decide that maybe rumbling is not as cool as you thought it was before.
Right. Yeah. This is going to prove exactly nothing.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Now that I can't walk up a flight of stairs without getting winded, I don't think the Vegas odds are going to be in my favor for any kind. The over under is going to be 2 minutes max.
I'm with you.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I love this. As you're finishing up at Purdue, 7 years, you said, and you're thinking
14 semesters.
Yeah. What's funny is that we both had the same major. So I was a recreation major as well, so I'm in sales. And so when people ask me what I majored in, I say recreation, which basically means I was at Harry's every day. Was there something in mind that you're thinking, yes, I love this music. Yes, it could be something I'm going to do, but I also need a job. What's that going to be?
Sure. Of course. And as well as I do that the epitome of success in recreation management is like a whole city's parks and rec department director.
Yep.
But you don't start there. You start at the trash guy at the park.
Cleaning up the dog poop in the park.
Yes. With your degree.
Right.
You're not designing slides that go into a pool.
Yep.
You're raking the leaves.
Yeah, you're literally sliding your diploma underneath the dog poop and scraping it up there and then dumping it out.
Oh my gosh. And I love Purdue, but and I kind of shot myself in the foot because I always felt like summers were my time. If you take 12 credit hours and no Maymester and no summer school, it takes a long time to get out of Purdue. And I played softball with all my homies, and we traveled around and played softball tournaments. And so summers were mine, man. I had a job and I played softball. And so I shot myself in the foot by not doing an internship or networking.
Yep.
I just thought, man, I'm going to get a job. Everybody gets a job right out of college.
Right. But I'm going to have fun this summer and play volleyball.
Yeah, I am. Chase girl.
So you finally did get the piece of paper that says, hey, I have a bachelor's from Purdue. What happened after that? And we're talking, what, 92?
I graduated in 94. Yes, sir.
Okay.
May of 94. All my college spending money was I would go and I would win karaoke contests.
Okay.
And so I'd win, you'd win $100 here, $250 here. And I would go, and that was yes, sir. And at the time it was Burton's.
Yep.
Ron Burton, who God rest his soul. And so Ron Burton, my senior year, pulled me aside and he said, hey, Bruce, you're in that Glee club, right? You're in that singing group. And I'm like, yes, sir. And he says, well, I'm opening a bar 2 doors down. And I need to find a piano player. I've got a $11,000 player piano, but I'd rather have somebody to actually play it while people eat dinner. And wow. I said, well, Ron, I play piano. And he's like, shut up. Really? Come here. And so he walked me across, and he had a really neat concept, Kevin. The downstairs was a comedy club, and a comedy show started about 10 o'clock, 10:30. Upstairs was fine dining, steaks, seafood, and He had a beautiful, grand Yamaha disc Lavir piano, and he just wanted somebody to play background music to digest to. And I was that guy, dude. I could BS. I could BS for 5 hours. And he was like, I'll give you $12 an hour. I'm like, what? I would do this for free. Jackpot. And so I started right out of graduation. I started playing there Fridays and Saturdays. And it was such a neat concept for Little Lafayette, dinner and a show.
Yep.
And what he didn't count on was because it was an extra, I think, $20 or $25 to go downstairs and catch the show. And not everybody did that. And so he was bringing in decent, Chicago comedians, Indianapolis comedians. Yep. And what he didn't count on was not everybody wanted to go down. And so they would stick around after dinner, go belly up to the bar, and 10:30, 11:30 would roll around, and they'd be like, hey, piano guy, you know any songs where you sing?
Play some Skinner.
Yeah, and I'm like, sweet home Alabama, and they would love it. And they'd throw $5 in I didn't have a cup, so they would just throw like $5 on the piano and say, hey, play Brown Eyed Girl, cool. And so
unbelievable.
I felt bad, but it turned into more people upstairs than would go downstairs. And what happened was it would be louder than downstairs.
Yeah.
And so
the comedians were like, this is bullshit.
Right. Oh, we're going to swear?
My mom's watching, but it's fine.
No, that was horse hockey, Mom.
Horse hockey, yep.
So let me tie this together if you don't mind. At the same time, the Cactus had been open for about a year and a half, and they built the bar right behind you. They built that room and couldn't find a piano player. And so a friend of mine from McCutcheon, not Jeff, was the manager of the Cactus. His name's Donnie White. And Donnie White came over and caught one of my shows at what was called Captain's Cove. And he just said, hey, man, we built this room. It would be your show doing what you're doing now and not just music, background music. He said, you have more talent than what you're using. And so he said, why don't you come over and talk to my bosses? And that's how that got that ball rolling. And I put in my month. I gave him a month, because Ron was such a great guy. Again, God rest his soul. But Donnie White was the one who said, hey, you need to talk to Jim and Sheila Cochran, and the rest is history. And I owe everything to Donnie White and to Jim and Sheila Cochran. They've given me a career.
And so when you went over to the Cactus and you're in this room, and I love green screens. I've been playing around with it for like 24 hours. I'm like, hey, I'm in Paris. Yeah, I know.
Baby shark.
Yeah, I know. And so the first night you're there, do you remember this night? The very first night you're sitting at the piano and people are coming in the door. Do you remember this? Like, what was that like?
Well, it was sparse.
Okay.
I'll tell you exactly how it went. I was scared, down my leg scared, but I said a prayer. I knew I didn't want to take a break, and so I said a prayer in the bathroom. God, just give me a voice and let me be funny. And I went out and I did my best to the 11 people that came off the country line dance floor and said, play me some Brooks and Dunn. And I'm like,
yeah,
here's some Elton John.
Yes.
And they're like, we're out of here.
Yeah.
I made $17 in tips my first night.
Yes.
I think my mom or my brother gave me like 10.
Nice. Yeah. That's amazing. And so how long did it take? I guess I would assume that you left there thinking, okay, I got to learn some new songs. How long did it take for you to really start to develop that audience?
So, and I left out a little part of the story because there's a fellow Boilermaker named Jonas Miller, and Jonas knew 1,000 songs and I knew 50.
Okay.
And Jonas was not an extrovert. And so we had a great yin and yang. and he would just play and look down and then kind of be a little funny. He's really dry. And I would just be like in your face, like, Star Wars. Hey, where are you from? You know, I was the blood, you know, but he was the heart, if that analogy works.
Yep.
And then after 6 months, he developed nodules on his vocal cords, and he had to quit. He drove from Indianapolis every Friday and Saturday. And so what happened was, for 6 months, I didn't play at the Cactus. And Jim and Sheila hired 2 guys from Indianapolis for Little Ditties, Billy Fingers and Wild Bill. And they played for 6 months. And what I did, Kevin, was I went home and I said, all right, I'm going to be my own guy. I'm not going to depend on anybody else. So I hammered 300 songs. I taught myself in 6 months 300 songs.
Wow.
And I knew them backwards and forwards, so that I would never have to rely on anybody else. I wanted to be able to do the show by myself.
Yep.
And so the guys who replaced me just up and left one day because Indianapolis came calling. And so I scooped in. So out of the almost 25 years, 6 months, I have technically not been at the Cactus, if you follow that timeline.
Yeah. Now, I distinctly remember when I was 21, 22, so this would have been 97, 98, you played at Jake's.
Yes, sir. It started April of 97. Yeah.
And would that have been during this 6 month or doing both at the same time?
No, I came back and they had opened up Jake's, and they said, hey, we're thinking about doing this thing Thursdays at Jake's and then Friday and Saturday at the Cactus. Do you have a sound system? And I'm like, yeah, I got a sound system. And so I had my own little PA at home. And so I would set up every Thursday night at Jake's and then tear down after the show and then do Fridays and Saturdays at the Cactus. And so I was working, and I had a regular day job. I had upgraded from selling cars in town to checking fire extinguishers. Bob Thomas, H Fire, woo! The greatest.
No sponsorships yet.
I know, dude. He's the greatest guy.
That's all right. I have a Guinness here, and Guinness doesn't know I'm doing that. So.
Oh, that's cool.
We're doing sponsorships now. Readers.
Sponsored by Walmart. $2.
Painter's tape. Walmart. That's what I used with the green screen.
Men's fragrance. This is hand sanitizer.
Nice. Yeah, you gotta have that.
And it smells like musk, like high school showers.
Nice. So that was kind of where I wanted to go. Is you're working during the day? Yes, sir. Okay.
For a whole year I did that, and then worked the 3 nights a week. So I had Sundays off to recover.
Okay. And I distinctly remember Jake's, like I think it was my friend Doug that called me and said, hey, you need to come check this guy. Like, this is amazing. And I remember going and absolutely falling in love with what you were doing, but it was packed. So by this time it had taken off. Yeah.
Jake's was awesome. It had the fishbowl right behind me, a giant window, people banging on the window, walking past Chauncey, it just chaos. I mean, it was like being in Harry's, but bigger, a bigger window, it really jump started bringing everybody down the hill for Thursday nights at the Cactus.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I don't think they had the mugs. But but I think they had some kind of wacky drink special. But again, it's a million light years away, and I don't recall everything. I'm probably making almost all this story up. Wow, I think the camera really adds 30 pounds to you, doesn't it?
Something like that. Myself. Yeah. I shaved for you today. I shaved my face. I hadn't done that in like 2 weeks. So you're pretty special. I kind of want to jump around a little bit. One of the things that I love about you and have always loved, and you even show it on like Thursday nights when you've done the show the last 2 weeks, and we're going to get to that, but you freaking remember everybody. how do you like, I'm in sales, and there was a time that I was really good at that, numbers and 4 kids and 2 dogs and crazy life later. I can barely remember my own name, but people,
Yeah.
I would walk into the Rusty Bucket after not seeing you for 2 years, and you would wave and say, "Hey, Kevin," in the middle of a song. How do you do that? And like, what is that?
Sure. I appreciate you asking because along with the Glee Club philosophy, Kevin, there's also, I had a personal philosophy of how a piano bar should be ran.
Yep.
And when I turned 21, I would go to Indianapolis and I would listen to those guys, Wild Bill and Billy Fingers, and I saw the dynamic that they were creating. And I loved the energy, I loved the enthusiasm, and I loved the wildness that was brought by 2 pianos and captivating an audience. I thought that was brilliant. What I didn't agree with, and I love those guys, but I felt like, personally, I felt when you walk in there, you weren't a person necessarily. You weren't someone that they wanted to get to know. They were more concerned about how much money did you walk in with, and how can I remove that without you knowing it.
Yep.
Let's do the fight songs 10 times a night. Let's do country versus rock and roll 10 times a night. Let's cut the songs in half and do them twice as fast. And that always bothered me because I felt, especially at Purdue, my job was to make you feel welcome, make you feel appreciated, get to know you, because especially in a small market, and I've always felt people can see through the BS. If you're not the genuine article, then they will realize that, and they'll be like, "Yeah, I saw you, good." But if you can take time to learn a person's name, learn where they're from, learn something about them, then it's just human nature that you connect. And I thought it's better always to connect than to just be superficial and put it on autopilot and rake in your money and put it in a big bag and go home with it. The tips are gravy and frosting on the cake, but the cake is still best served alone. And that, my analogy for that is that put the people first and they'll come back. People like to walk in and say, "Hey, watch this. This guy knows me. Check it out. Watch it. Just hang out." And then
it made my day. It made me so happy. You shouted me out this past Thursday night, and I was just, it's a cool thing. And what I can tell you, and I don't want to turn into Roy Firestone here, but yeah, don't do that, please. But this is, I think it's my 7th or 8th episode of this show. I've talked to global CEOs. I talked to former Pro Bowler and Boilermaker Nick Hardwick. And I can see the number of viewers we have right now, and I see the comments popping up. This episode dwarfs everything else I've done combined. How does that affect you, and the stuff that's happened the last 2 Thursdays when you lay at night and get ready to go to sleep and you're thinking about all this? How does that affect you?
I completely appreciate it, but I will tell you this. I feel like good people can see good and are drawn to good, and if you're just not a BSer, and if you're just honest, I'm not the best singer. I'm not. You line up 100 piano players that do this professionally, 99 or 100 are going to kick my butt at playing piano. But Kevin, it's never what I thought was most important. The most important thing was, how well did I entertain you? How well did you feel? Did you feel like you got your $5 worth? I hope, your cover charge, because people come, I get it, man. Cover charges I can't stand cover charges. I'm cheap as they get, but how did you make them feel? And your job is to entertain. And so I feel overwhelmed. I feel words don't do justice to how I feel about the outpouring my whole career, to be honest, and these last 2 Thursdays. I told Trevor Peters, who's a Glee Club guy, and he works at TV18 here in town, and I told Jordan Burroughs at TV18, I have tried for 25 years to walk into a Thursday and give more love, appreciation to the audience than I get. And you can't do it. The energy and the appreciation and the love is a tsunami that just washes over you. And that's why I don't stop. I try and make you feel like you're the most important person in the room. And I feel bad when I don't see someone, and I'll get a text like, "Hey, you didn't see me, but I was there tonight." It's like, dadgum, because I take pride in being independent of the piano. I'm not just sitting here,
Yep.
I'm looking around and saying, "Hey, holy cow, when's the last time you were here? 10 years ago?" And they're like, "What?" That's a personal pride factor for me, Kevin.
Yep.
And so, I get long-winded, and I'm really sorry.
I love this. Just keep going.
I'll tell you this.
Just sitting here.
First of all, I was amazed when I had the maximum allowed Facebook friends. I knew I had a lot of people who appreciated what I do. Then I went to Twitter, and then I have darn near 6,000 Twitter friends and then you can combine, but then you say, "Hey, I'm going to try. This is from a pure place from me. I'm going to try and give back to all those Boilermakers who have come through for 25 years. And and you can't do a thing about it. You can't sing loud. You're not in my basement. This is just for me to you. And you're going to sit there and you're going to like it. And I've got captive audience, right? So I'm going to give. Guess what happens? The snowball happens, and then I start reading all these comments and all the love. That same wave that you get from the Cactus was written in 56,000 comments, and it's like, dadgummit, all I'm trying to do. Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're look at this. Bruce is bringing happiness to our hometown healthcare heroes and many others. Like, it's just I can just keep scrolling here. And the stuff
I can't see any of that, but.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, I mean, I couldn't see until you clicked on it, Kevin.
Yep.
But yeah, so what I thought I was being clever, and I'm like, I'm going to give back, and they're not going to have a chance to give back to me because they're not here.
Yep.
But that the virtual Boilermaker wave came rushing back, and I sat down in my basement like I had sang for 6 hours straight. I just sang for 2. But I sat down and I kept reading, and I'm like, oh my gosh, is it possible that almost 15,000 people were watching at the same time that would fill Mackey Arena? What?
So it brings me to a really good question that a friend of mine asked me this week. Has there ever been a discussion about you playing before or after a Purdue football game in Ross-Ade Stadium?
I approached a couple of years ago. I approached a friend of mine, Chris Clopton, who's I believe still part of the Purdue family in the football department. And I said, "Hey, will you approach Coach Hazel?" Because Coach Hazel and I have talked briefly, but this was before Coach was let go. But I said, "Hey, I'm struggling with ways to give back to all the alumni. I would love to do a before, like in that parking lot before a kickoff. I would love to do an hour and a half show in the parking lot of Ross-Ade Stadium,
the north parking lot there."
Yes, sir. Yep. It was in the works. I wasn't sure. My contract was running out at the Cactus in 2018, and so I wasn't sure, if they were going to go a different direction or what. And so I thought, look, I'm still trying to find ways to give back. And I said, I'm not gonna stick it to you. I would just like maybe like 4 tickets for my family to go watch a football game. Yeah, maybe nice tickets, but
I want to be on the field.
That all you can eat thing up there.
Yep. Shively Club. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That's
amazing. So it's at least been discussed before.
Yeah, and then it kind of dropped off a little bit. Well, for number one, I had discussions with Jim and Sheila at the Cactus, and they said we'd like to continue this relationship, and I'm like, sweet. And so part of that, Kevin, included doing breakfast clubs Saturday
Yeah.
mornings,
Yep.
which makes it harder because it comes up right to basically kickoff. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. You might as well just stay there Friday night and then do Saturday morning.
right, because I have endless vocal cords. Yes,
Right.
you're right.
That's amazing. Yeah, we a friend of mine and I were talking this week about that, and after you'd done your Thursday show, and we thought like after a 3 o'clock game where it's just getting dark in Rossade, I still think you'd get 60,000 people staying there and singing. So I'm just saying, if Tim Cross or Mike Babinski's watching right now, let's make this happen, because I think that would be a riot.
Gosh, it would be another one of those bucket list kind of things you hadn't even really thought about.
Yep.
I did probably 10 years ago. It might be 11 years ago. I was asked by the athletic department to play before they did all the addition to Mackey Arena.
Yep.
I did play for they did a mid Mackey Magic.
Mackey Magic. Yep.
And the men and men's team and the women's team, and I played in between the two games at center court. And I remember because my son was about 2 weeks from turning 2 years old, and there were over 12,000 people at that, Kevin. And I was like, I shouldn't have done it, but I did, because my kid was almost 2, and I thought there's never going to be another chance to have 12,000 people sing happy birthday to my little towhead.
That's amazing.
So, and I have the picture right over there, and I cried, because I'm that guy in Titanic who, when I watch Titanic, I cry.
Yeah, ditto. Homeward Bound for me, that gets me at the end. So,
is that about a dog?
Yeah, the 2 dogs and the cat. I struggle with that one.
Okay,
Pretty much any movie with a dog in it.
Aw.
So, I want to talk a little bit about the family. Your wife Sabrina, and then your 2 sons. What do they think about all this? I know your sons are getting pretty old now, and they're a part of the Thursday night things. Like, I've always wondered, like, what is it like? What would it be like to be Tom Hanks' son or LeBron James' son? And you get older and start to realize, like, oh, hey, I think it's an apropos comparison. Like, as you grow up and start to think, oh crap, like my dad is Bruce Barker, the Piano Man. Like, do they understand? Do they know now what that means?
Yeah, but you know what, Kevin? God bless you, man. My ego, it won't let me think like that. It just, and so I raise those kids. That we're everybody's the same, and but I will tell you this, they have been around every show that I've done outside the Cactus where they're allowed to go, and that was really fun. Let me tell you about the dance marathons. When they were little guys, like 5 and 6, they would stand at the edge, but they saw 3,000 crazy kids screaming and singing, and they thought, whoa, okay, that's wild. And then the next year when I played, they got a little closer to the stage, and it kept going until I think they were 10 and 9, and I had taught my kids how to play one song. And I have the best video of my oldest playing Never Tear Us Apart by NXS to 3,000 people, because I'm behind him, and you can see the co-rec just loaded with people. So, and I have one other story, but my kid came home a couple years ago, so he was probably 12. Tyson came home and he said, Dad, do you know when you type in your name, you're the first thing in Google that pops up?
It's very true.
Your name. And I said, I go, I've heard that. I was showing all my friends, like, that's my dad. My dad's the first. When you type in Bruce Barker, it's the first thing that pops up. I'm like, well, it's not that common of a name, dude. But he was, but the internet, the internet is their current affair So
that was their moment when they realized that was his moment. Yeah, that's amazing.
It was one of them. Yeah.
And I would assume that Sabrina keeps you pretty grounded as well.
Oh yeah. You don't have to do much to get me on the ground. P.S. I'm 230, and gravity. No, Kevin. It literally has never ever been my style to just be like, hey, check me out.
Yeah, I'm the Piano Man.
I'm blessed beyond ever needing to play that card. Like I don't like to. I won't play that card. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because
Was there
but I
any
appreciate
night?
it.
Yeah, no. Was there any night at the Cactus, or really any night that you were playing that you specifically remember? Let's say at the Cactus,
Oh
maybe
yeah.
after a really big win or something that the crowd was just bananas, and it was like the night that you really remember. Let's say 40 years from now, and you're thinking about
Sure.
this.
Absolutely. And I will go right to the Thursday after 9/11. It
Oh man.
was insane. First of all, I was like everybody else, and all you did was watch TV, and you just sat there shaking your head, not knowing how to feel, not certainly not feeling motivated to go in and put on a happy face and sing,
Yep.
because I even called my bosses and I said, "Hey, we're not open this weekend, right?" And they're
Right.
like, "No, we're gonna open because we've had a lot of people ask if you're gonna be there." And
Wow.
I'm like, "What? Like who? What I thought 100% wrong. I was 100% wrong, and I didn't realize that people had done the same thing that I had done, and that they just needed a break.
Yep.
They needed to not celebrate, but take a break, a brain break, and
Yep.
just be together. And I don't want to say feel safe, but a camaraderie
Yep.
or a sharing of there. I mean, there was crying, there was screaming, singing patriotic songs. Repeat. I kind of have a little rule. Oh, hi Emily. Now I get it. Do I get it now?
Read. Yeah.
Yay! Hi Emily.
Read that.
I
That's
sponsored by Walmart.
yes.
I was there that night in 2001. It was like therapy. I'll never forget it either. Yeah, amen. I have goosebumps now because I can go back there in an instant and remember. Not, I told you I'm a crier, but I didn't care. I mean, it was just palatable. It's one of those things where they're like, it's in the air, the zone or whatever, but people just needed contact.
Yep.
Fast forward to this situation we're in now
Yep.
we're all apart. There is still a need to connect.
Yep.
And it's such a different situation because we didn't see 9/11 coming. We're sitting there shell shocked. This is a slow burn that you still don't know the ending, you know, and so it's where it gets a little bit. You're still a little bit confused and you're trying to take in all the information you can. But I still believe when you have people harbored and limited to just their house or like 9/11 just their apartment,
Yep.
then they still need it. And that's why
Yep.
Netflix and Netflix is awesome. All these people doing concerts. My friend Todd Baldwin is playing Facebook Live tonight. He's gonna oh, is this another thing? Oh, I know Megan. Hi Megan. Aw, that's exactly what these last 2 Thursdays are so special. Yeah, see, God love you. That's the tie-in that even though they're completely different scenarios and situations, it was number one.
They're connected.
Yes, and it reminded me of how impactful 9/11 was and being there that Thursday for those people. And that groundswell didn't die down.
Yep.
And so, I mean, for the whole semester.
Yeah.
And so that's why this was just my teeny tiny little gift to all those Boilermakers who have come through and who I know now are just like me and going, man, I bought the crappiest toilet paper ever because it was the only thing there. I mean, it is scratchy, and I'm down one roll. So, but I have a neighbor who says, whenever you need toilet paper, their kids moved out, and so they have extra. So I'm gonna once a week. I'm probably gonna have to go over and say thank you. But man, did I go off on a tangent?
No, it's
So
fine.
sorry,
I kind of wondered if we would eventually get to toilet paper. So
I can show you, dude. I got one. I got one left in 3 bathrooms.
One.
Woo!
and 4 people in the house.
4 people. You can imagine, yeah. And I got a 196-pound, 6'2", 14-year-old, and that kid is a toilet clogging kid.
So I know
Can we delete that?
we can delete that. Yeah. I mean, it's
Thank
live,
you.
but sure. Can we, I know that lately, I think over the past year or so, you've been playing at another different place, and there's other people playing at the Cactus and those types of things. What's next for Bruce over the next 5 years?
You know, you never know,
Yeah.
but I mean so the Thursday thing is just it's so selfish of me, but I love it. I don't want to ever give it up.
Yep.
Those college students, you know, I've waited for 20 years for them to realize that I'm just not cool, and that they're gonna stay up the hill. But God bless them, they still keep coming down. And I still treasure it, and I don't like their music. Like I learned Lizzo, but that's about as modern as I get.
Yeah.
Why man great till they gotta be great. It's 2 chords.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so I would, I mean, I'm 52. God, can you imagine coming at age 60 and seeing me?
Yes.
I can't.
I
No,
can't.
I mean, really, with
My
walker,
comments are about to blow up with people saying yes.
Oh,
I can see it happening.
So the Whiskey Bob's thing, my friend Dave Schwartz was my son's baseball coach, both boys coach for 6 years, and he's the best guy. He's an amazing individual, and what he offered me was a platform to be different than the Cactus. I added the world's best, and I'm not exaggerating. Look him up, Scott Pizzera, the world's best bass player, and he is magic. He's a Boilermaker, teaches at Purdue, but he will do things, Kevin, that are not jams, like, you know, elongated jam sessions, but they're songs done differently, slower, faster, songs that I like, a lot of 80s, but he gives me that platform. If I was to guess, I would say it's 33% Cactus show and 66% stuff that really I just want to do and I hope you like. But I did it a little earlier. I started at 8:30, and then that way people, you know, it's a Tuesday. It's
Right.
it's only once a month, so you'll be really, really tired for just one day a month on Wednesdays. But and then I get to still go back, and so many alumni have found out in the last year and a half since I've just played Thursdays that they'll come back and visit on Thursdays. They'll take a Friday off and bring just mind blowing. The amount of alumni that have switched their schedules to still come in on a Thursday and catch a show.
That's amazing. Speaking of alumni, I'm about to be one of these people that I'm going to ask you about. Do you have people coming in now who you remember from 95, 96 who are bringing their kids in who are at Purdue?
I do. And that inspires me to not be there. No, dude. Oh my gosh.
You're like a teacher, basically, who are teaching the kids of people that you taught.
So I thought about this yesterday. I hadn't really thought about it, but I started when I was 27 and I'm 52. So technically I started in my 20s. I spent my 30s, my 40s, and I've entered my 50s sitting on that
Still
stool
doing this.
behind
Yeah.
it. If you would have told me in 1994 when I graduated that I could play piano 3 days a week, support a family, I would be like, did I go to Vegas and hit 777?
Yeah.
Because that's a dream. People dream of that, just doing something you like. You know, obviously this is something that you had an interest in, and now you're turning it into something that you truly enjoy.
Yeah.
Right. And so that is rare. And what a blessing, right? What an incredible gift.
So this is my very best friend, and he says, Bruce, please stay long enough to allow my 18-year-old to see you live. So you have at least 3 more years. Yep.
No, or they could get a creative ID. There we go.
Or yeah. So I have my oldest turns 21 this July. So you'll be seeing, yeah. So she'll be a junior at Purdue, and then we've got a senior in high school who more than likely will be at Purdue. We'll see. He's still, all of this turmoil going on has sort of thrown that up in the air. So, but
what does your daughter study?
She is studying psychology, and I think she wants to go to medical school. So.
That's mandatory.
Yeah, that's what I told her. Go ahead and say it. Say it, because if she's watching, I want somebody else to say it.
You have to get a further education, or else it will just be my recreation degree.
Yes. Okay. I explained that to her. Yeah, you can't do a ton with a psychology degree, but I think she has a pretty distinct plan that she's still sticking to. So that's awesome. So you've got the piano there. We've got about 5 minutes left, and I want you to do me a favor.
Oh my gosh, is it really?
Yeah, it's 1:55. Wow. I told you an hour, and I could probably do this for another hour. But one of the hardest parts about this whole quarantine thing going on is my mom, who is at her house, and I want to go down there, and her name's Sarah, so you can say hi to Sarah. Or Mrs. Hicks is fine. With an H.
Yeah.
H's are not ooh. Yeah, right.
Sarah.
Yes, exactly. And I want to go down there, but we've still had to run to the store, and it's too scary in this environment, and I hate it. And so I was wondering if you could play Friends in Low Places for my mom. And I'm going to take myself. Yeah, I'm going to take myself off the screen and give you the entire thing.
Hey, Kevin, are we going to continue our talk after the song?
We are.
Okay, because I was going to say bye if we weren't.
We'll say bye. You sing.
Don't leave without saying bye. That's bad manners.
I won't, I promise.
Blame it all on my roots. Showed up in boots and ruined your black tie affair. Last one, no. Last one to show. I was the last one you thought you'd see there. I saw a surprise and the fear in his eyes when I took his glass of champagne. I toasted you, said Sarah, we may be through, but you'll never hear me complain, 'cause I got friends in low places where the whiskey drowns and the beer chases my blues away. I hope to meet you someday, Sarah. I'm not big on social graces. Think I'll slip on down to the oasis. So I got friends in low places. Oh yeah, Mrs. Hicks, I've got friends in crawl spaces. That's for you, Sarah.
You're the man. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure. My gosh. It flew by. It really did. It flew by.
Yep. And it's why I enjoy doing it. Like I always used to think that you started at Jake's and then went to the Cactus. And when I saw that you started there in 95, I'm like, wait a minute, that's not what I thought had happened. So I mean, I've talked to people that I know really well on this show and always learn something new that I didn't know. And I think that other people also want to see that. Somebody's commenting that now I need to take my mom to the piano bar, but we would need a PG-13 version.
Embrace yourself.
Yeah.
It's a whole lot different than the Thursday night.
Yeah, maybe when I bring my daughter this summer, we'll take my mom as well.
Oh my gosh. So, hey, can I ask you this? Is this going to be? Is this just evaporating into the clouds, or how can people who didn't catch the show be able to click on either my page or how do we do that?
Yep. So it's going to be on my Commuting with Kevin page on my Facebook page. It's also on Twitter at CWK_podcast. So it's through Periscope. It's also on my LinkedIn page. So it stays there. It doesn't go anywhere, and anyone can share it. In fact, most of the time, I was actually just texting with somebody this morning who also does live shows like this. The majority of the views happen after the actual live part of the show. So
yeah,
you'll be able to share it that way. And
so
people will
can
be
I
able to
tell
see
you,
it.
like, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
You're fine.
so the show last Thursday, we went from 15 to just over 10,000, which is unbelievable. But what I found out the next day, someone sent me a screenshot and said 121,000 people had actually clicked on it and watched.
Yes.
So that's another thing
Yep.
that's kind of like, how's that? But you're finding that's what happens with your podcast?
Correct. I would guess the majority of the people, if 1,000 people, let's say 100 people watch it live, 1,000 people watch it. But as I mentioned, it's going to be much more for this.
Okay,
And
cool.
you also, it doesn't add up. So like Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Periscope, you all have to add them up. And so that's kind of the way that it works. But yeah, they will all be there. You'll be able to share it. Everybody's going to be able to see it. I will share it again and tag you. And everyone's looking forward to Thursday night again.
Man, I hope there's no need for the show. But until there is no need for the show, I'm going to do it as long as I have a voice. And so, again, it's just my little gift. I'm actually, if we have to go a few more weeks or whatever, I'm going to mix it up just a little bit. I'm not going to tell you how.
Huh.
Yeah, but I'm going to mix it up.
Teaser.
Little teaser. Pizza. Yeah. So,
Awesome.
But hey, Kevin, thank you so much for asking. This has been a little slice of heaven, and I mean it sincerely, man.
Thank you.
I don't enjoy just talking about myself, but I understand that there's there's a audience that wants to hear a little bit more, and in these times, man, anything you can do to help out, it's my honor. So I appreciate it, brother.
Amen. Thanks, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Yep. Bye,
All
people. Go check out Kevin.
All right. See ya.
Bye, Sarah. Yeah.
Oh man, that was awesome. Thank you guys for joining so much. He's one of my all-time heroes. I love going down there and seeing him. As we mentioned at the beginning, we are live again tonight at 7:30 Central Time with our He Said, She Said couples game, which will be very fun. That's every Saturday night at 7:30. We're also working on some other live shows, so we'll see what happens. But thanks for being here. We'll see you guys soon.